The whole point of this video is to help you cope with grief, is to help you get through that grieving process where perhaps you weren't even functioning. Hey guys, Matt Tait here from Fork in the Road, your channel for transformation. Today I thought I'd do a very quick video on grief. In particular, handling grief when perhaps you've gone through all those stages of grief, maybe a long time has passed, and you're still finding incredible difficulty with that grief. Or maybe you're at a really bad place and not coping to the point where you might be in a bit of trouble. That's what this video is about, is another option to help you to cope, to move forward, to keep on stepping baby steps through the process of grief. I've had several clients who have approached me over the last couple of years, and I've been working with them, and those clients have struggled with grief not just for a month or a year, but for 5 years, or one client in particular was 30 years was how long it had been since his mother had passed. And so this kind of crippling sadness, we really need to find a way to handle it. And so that's what this video is about. It's about how do you handle that crippling sadness so that you can keep stepping forward for yourself, for your loved ones, for your children, for your intimate partner, for your family. That's what today's video is about. It's about finding a technique, an idea, a thought, a process, some little tip or trick that will help you to move forward. This particular technique comes from a process within NLP. I first learned about it on Barry Neal's YouTube channel, and then I went off and researched it with my NLP techniques. And I applied it in combination with a bunch of other things to a client, a couple of clients actually, and it really worked. I applied this with these clients and it worked. It gave them some peace, it helped them to move forward, and it did make a difference. One of the theories in behind this is that people who seem to cope with loss carry the person within them. Remember, it's a hologram inside ourselves. Our perception, our image, we don't actually experience reality, we experience our perception of reality. And so with that, we can manipulate that reality enough so that we can handle it. We're still going to have the sadness, still going to be missing the people. But what we can do is we can find a way to find how we structure it inside ourselves. And so with that, a little exercise right now to help you move forward. And that exercise is all about playing with the pictures in our mind. This is part of the process, not the whole process, but I thought, why not share this little piece? And the piece is, where do you store the image of this loved one in your system? And the one modality or method, shall I call it, a modality that I wanted to explore today is how you store the picture of your loved one in your mind. Now here's the pattern I've picked up across several clients now. And the pattern I've picked up is that when they are coping with a loved one who's passed away, it might be their grandma, it might be, I don't know, the in-laws, it might be someone who they've coped with, they store it in a particular location for them, close by, but not obscuring their vision, to the left or to the right, wherever they want to put it. It doesn't matter, as long as it's not obscuring their vision, this image in their personal space. What am I talking about, I hear you ask? Well, quite simply, when we store a memory, it goes somewhere. And a lot of people are visual. And so straight away, they'll make a picture. And that picture of that person, if you close your eyes and think about that someone who has passed, in fact, do that right now. And I'll do it right now. When I think about a person who has passed away, and I will go with my grandmother. My grandmother is actually sitting here and to the right, and about arm's length away. That's where my grandmother is. And I'm fine with my grandmother because my grandmother's with me. At any time, my grandmother can give me advice. At any time, my grandmother can look over me. So grandmother is not far away. If I think about my dog, Bonnie, the last dog that my parents had, who I was very close with, Bonnie is sort of up and to the right, but I'm okay with her. It was a very sad moment, but when I think about Bonnie, I think about the good things, the positive things. I'm not focused on the loss. But because Bonnie's with me, there is no loss. Metaphorically, my system kind of thinks she's still here, even though she's not. So it's a bit of a method of dealing with it. And it's not avoiding the reality, it's about coping. Remember, I'm talking about people who are losing the plot. I'm talking about people who are sad 30 years later. I mean, we need to be productive. We don't want to be sad every moment. We want to be up for our family. Our emotions will spread to everyone around us. And so here's the pattern I picked up with my clients. When they're incredibly sad, the client's image was here. When you close your eyes and ask, where does the picture live? It was right here, blocking their vision, blocking their forward progress, and their emotions are just bouncing back straight off that image. And it's an image here, but it's not an image that I'm with. They're with me. It's an image I won't let them go because they're gone forever. As opposed to moving them a bit to the left or a bit to the right. Try and do that. If you're struggling with someone, take that image that you've got right in front of you and just move it a bit to the left or a bit to the right. Now, there's a pattern that people have. Some people already have people like I just suggested, my grandmother and my dog who had passed away, and my clients had a similar pattern where they stored to the left or the right where the loved one had gone, and they're okay with it. And it's not in front of them, it's to the left or the right, and maybe arm's length away or a certain distance away. They store it. So try and store, if you already have someone who has passed and you're okay with it and it's not destroying you and you've coped with it, notice where that is, and then go and notice where the person who you're not coping with, it's probably here, or maybe they're gone completely. So if they're right here, put them to that same place where the loved ones you have accepted. Maybe in my example, it would be my grandmother and my dog. I could go and put the person that was here, go and sit them next to my grandmother and my dog. And maybe I don't want to do that 100% straight away, but I might move them halfway. At the very least, move it away from the center of my vision. And then a little bit further away. And if the emotions are too strong, put it back and then just play with it. Just enough that you can accept it. That is the method. It's about moving the picture to an appropriate place for where you're at and seeing if that shifts the emotions in the body. Playing with the picture just enough for you to cope. Making it bigger, making it smaller, making it further away, or making it just a little bit to the side, but enough for you to cope. It's a small thing that might help you start to move forward. But the big piece to me, that the real pattern that I saw, was the picture was here, and then we moved it here. So you can see past the picture. It can still be very close to you. If the picture is completely gone, bring it in. If the picture is obscuring your view, move it to the side and put it in a position that works for you. That's my tip for today, is move the picture around. Play with it. Notice where it is. Notice if you have an example of a past loved one who you are coping with, and match it up or move it towards it. The picture of the person who you're not coping with, let's say it's a loved one who's just passed or has passed even 30 years ago, that triggers off sadness, move them to the same position of another loved one that doesn't trigger off sadness. You get the idea, don't you? Move the pictures around and see the ones that are obscuring your view and move them off to the side. So that's my tip for today. Now, if you've got an emotion in the body, it's a feeling, more kinesthetic based, notice where you're feeling it and then play with the feeling. If you have a loved one, once again, that's the template of I am coping, and then there's another loved one where I'm not coping, play with the feeling to match it up. Or maybe there's some sounds involved. Maybe there are some thoughts that you think in your head. It's about modeling where you are coping and then modeling where you're not, so you can then shift the one where you're not towards where you are. So you want to shift it towards the people you do cope with. So that's one example. But just get the picture away from your head and away from your eyes and move it to the side and see how that feels. Now, some people, that can freak them out, right? Put it straight back and then find another way. So you don't have to move it and be stuck with it. You can move it straight back, right? So you're nice and safe. There's no problem. It's actually really easy and effortless when you get this moving around. It's easy and effortless that you can have whatever you want. That's not the whole process. It's just one of the components of the process of moving pictures around in your mind's eye. It's called submodalities. And of course, you can make the picture brighter, dimmer. You can make the picture smaller. You can make the picture further away. You can shift it to the left, to the right. You can do all sorts of things with the picture. And in fact, if you did a session with me, we would explore the way it works just for you, because there's a list of things to go through. This is Matthew Tait from Fork in Road YouTube channel, and a little grief resolution process. There's more to it in the whole process, but moving the pictures can be enough for people to cope. I hope this serves you today. As always, subscribe to the channel if you want these videos on a regular basis. Hit the little bell and the notification button to get these videos. And by all means, comment. I'd love to hear if this little video has given someone some peace, or at least it shifted the feeling to a point where you can cope. Remember, the whole point of this video is to help you cope with grief, is to help you get through that grieving process where perhaps you weren't even functioning. I hope this serves you today. This is Matt Tait, Fork in Road YouTube channel, and I'll see you in the next video.